in a place called Baraka, which comes from the former Kikongo or Hebrew Barak, which means blessing, a city in the province of Kivu, which comes from ancient Kikongo Kivroth, which means tomb. There was a family man who lived in a big house called Bethuel's house of he with his 2 boys and their families. He was called Yissaelah by his neighbors the Ensets, Ishmaelites, Moabites, Edomites, Sephardic. He once said to his children, "Love Eliah the God of your fathers with all your heart and all your soul, it is him that you should fear. Love justice. Love my food. You will lose my food in a little time." By the grace of Eliah you will find it with some modifications, but the background will remain the same. My children, one day your children are going into captivity by those who will burn my house soon. Beware, for they shall come to seduce you with bad intentions, beware. Don't let it seduce you. This man Yissaelah worked hard in his cornfield to feed his children and grandchildren. He always prompted his children to abide by the principles of Eliah in his home, but these children have always resisted, complexed by the color of their skin. After a hard day's work, he paused. He decided to go home to eat, to take back some strength. On his way home, he was surprised to see strangers, with eyes of felines, surrounding his poor abode, the Edomite Mindals. Ruthless, the Entanto people of the darkness came, killed Yissaelah, and beheaded his wife. They plundered his meager wealth, they profaned his sanctuary. The Entantus Edomites decided to burn his house, but before doing so they were hungry. So they took the food that Yissaelah had planned to eat, the food that Yissaelah liked to eat with his children. They tasted it. This food had a rare flavor. Never had the Edomites Entantus eaten such delight. They wanted to know the recipe. After burning the house of Yissaelah, they began to search for the 2 sons and their family. The 2 sons learned of the death of their father and their mother. They left Baraka, with their wives and children, in order to escape the Mindal Edomites, unholy people, corrupt people, violent people, people of darkness. They went to the land of the Kamata, Entoto dia Ntangu, the land of the sun. But the ungodly Entantu Edomites were always on their way. The first son Bakala takes, or the choice of Elah, told his brother Leki, "We must separate, remember Baraka, we must keep the memory of our father, keep the tongue, the names of the towns of Baraka, so that our offspring may remember where we come from and our father, and his enemies the Mindals and the Ntsetes who betrayed us. We no longer have the food of our father, the Entantus have stolen it, and they burned the house. Here we are orphaned, nevertheless we still have our mouth to transmit what we know to our children, the secret. Let us not reveal to them all the secrets, lest their emotional talkative instincts causes them to betray our hiding place. Remember, my brother, that the transmission uses the mouth for the ears. For this to be done well, teach your family to love the truth, because from the mouth can come out good and evil, blessing and curse, truth and falsehood. Know the power of the word, the one that Eliah has used to create mankind. The mo pe pe, the mouth that makes 2 sounds, pe, means mouth, and mo, indicates the origin of inspiration and expiration, the breath. So he tells his little brother Leki, "We must separate. If one dies, the other will live. All cross the Tia, fire or desert. I'll go to the west in the Entoto dia Kati. You and your family, you have to cross the Massa, the water. You will go the Entoto dia Ntama, to the east, and we will take in the forest beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, sub-Saharan Africa, from central to south." Zephaniah chapter 3 verses 10 to 20, "So the Entantus with their horses will not be able to reach you. For there are rivers in the country where you are going to take refuge." Isaiah chapter 18 verses 1 to 7, "It is to thee who have the responsibility to keep the recipe of the food which the Entantus are stolen. For with time, transmission will be done in its time. The memory will be recovered, the information will be spread, then will come the end of our sufferings. Tata Yissaelah will return with the spirit of Dawidi. So he warned his brother, "Know that when the Entantus come to penetrate the forest, the Amalekites, the Sephardic, the Ishmaelites will be at their head. They shall penetrate place of our refuge with ships." Remember Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68 and Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 27, but others of my Bakongo tribe will escape. Ezekiel chapter 6 verse 8. We are going to lose our children, the people of Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Congo, Angola, Gabon, and they will go into captivity among the nations with other Africans of Cham, by the same who burned our father's house and stole the food. These nyokas, unholy serpents, will not stop biting us, as our fathers in the desert with Massa. He will send spies, corrupt our infumas, control our land, to seek to know the recipe of the food, but they will never have the key to the recipe. Go, said the elder Bakaela Bikala to his brother, be cautious. After their heinous crime, the Ntantas kept the food stolen full of delights. They decided to make copies. They said to each other that we would tell the world that it is they who are the cooks of this food. The Ntsetes, the ancient neighbor of Yissayah Abe killed but resurrected, heard about this recipe. They also made a copy based not on the original but on the hearsay, which they called Koran, but they also wanted to know the original recipe to understand the future, which will be, because like the Mindals, the Ntsetes knew that in having the recipe, they will be able to understand the future. They'll have the key.